So I was just on the phone with Dr. Howard Asher. You guys know Howard. He's a regular on my channel. We do a series of conversations about Trump derangement syndrome from a psychological perspective. And by the way, we've got one coming up next week. Next week on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Howard will be back. We're going to talk about people who are waking up from Trump derangement syndrome and how you can support them. It's going to be awesome. But Howard said to me, he said, Carlin, I just read the craziest article. And I said, Howard, lay it on me. What's racist now? And he said, traffic signals. Traffic signals are now a symbol of the alt-right and white supremacy. Traffic signals. You all know why they are. We're going to read this article. We're going to find out. But just take a guess. Take a guess. Write it down right now. I'm not going to do the big reveal yet. I haven't even read this article yet. We're going to experience this article together, and I'm going to react to it in real time. However, I feel like reacting to it because it's a Friday. It is a Friday afternoon. I was supposed to go to the Trump rally tomorrow, but now the Trump rally has been canceled because of stupid tropical storm that will be gone even before the rally starts, which I'm really annoyed about. But so I don't have my Trump rally this weekend anymore, but I do have racist traffic signals, and I suppose that's something. So we're going to read this article together and see what we think about it. But before we get into that, listen, folks, if you want to support my channel, if you like the content that I'm doing, please make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, hit the thumbs up. Another great way that you can support me is by becoming a subscriber on Subscribestar. Now, Subscribestar does give a number of perks to subscribers. One of those perks is a shout out in one of my videos. And so today I have 2 shout outs to give. Thank you to Jeffrey and thank you to Rebecca. Your support means the world. I really appreciate it. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. All right, let's jump into this. I guess maybe we shouldn't preemptively judge something and say that it's crazy, but I'm gonna guess that this is crazy. The unintentional racism found in traffic signals. If you guys don't think dramatic voice is going to come out during the reading of this nonsense, then you probably haven't watched too many of my videos. Just because something doesn't use an offensive mascot doesn't mean it can't reinforce a broken system. Let's learn why traffic signals are racist. Washington, D.C.'s pro football team, Aunt Jemima pancake products, Eskimo pies. They're all examples of the everyday racism that bombards people of color from the supermarket to the playing field. They're also all iconic American products that both corporations and consumers finally agree are ready for a rebrand. Well, not all consumers, only about 8 to 10% of the consumers, but they happen to be really loud and they shout a lot and they write emails to companies to make it seem like they're a bigger part of the population than they actually are. But what about the far more subtle streams of everyday racism that course through our homes, our workplaces, and the outside world? These instances may be far subtler than a mascot or an offensive term, but are no less pervasive and no less deserving of a cultural reckoning. For me, that reckoning begins with traffic signals. Traffic signals, a symbol of the alt-right. No, I can't put that on a t-shirt, but I kind of really want to put that on a t-shirt, but I'm not going to. I'm going to maintain some level of propriety. A few months back, before COVID-19 kept us in our homes and George Floyd made us take to the streets, I was walking with a friend, her daughter, and my twin sons. My friend is white and I'm not. Something I'd never given a second thought to until we reached the crosswalk. Okay, listen, pause. You mean to tell me that you've never given a second thought to the race of yourself and the race of your friend until you saw a traffic signal? I'm sorry, I call BS. And listen, it doesn't matter, be friends with whoever you want to be. A person's skin color should not play into it. We all know this. I don't believe that anyone watching this video or the person making this video is going to pick friends out based on the color of their skin. That's not something that any of us should do. If you like hanging out with someone, hang out with them. But to say that this was your lightning rod moment, was you were walking down the street and you saw a traffic signal? Okay. Remember, honey, she said to her daughter as we waited for the light to turn green, we need to wait for the little white man to appear before we can cross the street. If you wrote down on your notes that that the reason that traffic signals are racist is because the person crossing the street is white. Ding, 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 you won a prize. I don't have any prize to give you, but you won a prize. Congratulations. I realized that white people like to exert control over nearly everything everyone does. I thought, but since when did this literally include trying to cross the street? Since forever there have been traffic signals. White is the color of the damn light. It is the color of the light. Since forever. Since forever traffic signals have existed from. Part of my surprise here was a function of age. My boys are a few months younger than my daughter, and we hadn't yet tackled the crossing the street component of basic toddler training. Had you never crossed the street yourself? I'm sure someone's going to call me racist for making this video, but like, have you never crossed the street? Did you not notice? But as a black dad, I was struck by the language of play. How is it possible that well into the 21st century, parents all over Manhattan, well-meaning Black Lives Matter marching parents, are teaching their children to ask little white men for permission to cross the street? And why doesn't this seem to bother them? You're not asking for permission from the traffic signal to cross. Like, how many times have you crossed the street when there is not a fucking traffic signal telling you to? You do not need permission from a traffic signal to cross the street. People jaywalk all the time. You might even cross the street where, God forbid, there is not even a traffic signal present. That happens all the time. No one is asking a white man for permission to cross the street. It is a signal that it is your turn to cross. That is all it is. Why do we need to read racism into everything? Technology and necessity propelled the shift from verbal crosswalk cues to a lunar white walking person, but my heart still sinks at the specter of teaching my son to ask a white man for permission to do, well, anything. And that's exactly, you know what? Actually, I'm going to co-sign this. They should not be asking anyone's permission to do anything, except probably their parents. As they're growing up, you should probably ask your parents permission to do stuff, right? But, you know, I'm on board with this. People should not be asking permission from other people. You don't need permission from anyone. The only person you need to give permission to is yourself, and that's true if you're black, white, brown, whatever, it doesn't matter. Ask permission from yourself, and if you say, yes, I give myself permission to do this thing, you don't need permission from me, and you don't need permission from a little blinky light in a box telling you that it's time to cross the street. It certainly bothered me, so much so that I began to dig deep into my 40-something consciousness to try to remember if I was raised asking the little white guy to let me cross the street. Were you raised to push the button on the traffic signal? Probably. Were these the words my progressive white mother used to teach her little brown children, the fundamentals of pedestrian safety? No one uses those words! Are you kidding me? No one uses those words! No one, when they are teaching their children how to cross the street, say, honey, now you by pressing the button, you ask the little white man in the box for permission to cross. Like, how have we descended to this level of lunacy? I just don't understand. Turned out I wasn't raised this way. And neither, most likely, were you. Back when most of us were kids, stoplights and traffic signals across the U.S. relied on words rather than images to let folks know when to walk or wait or stop or cross. No, that is not true. I have always had traffic signals with the little white man. Always. And I lived in Vermont, man. Vermont is not necessarily a bustling metropolis. Like, spoiler alert, it's not. We still have the crosswalk symbols. Go comb through photos of historic traffic signals on Google Images and you'll see archival photos of traffic signs you might remember from childhood. Boxy black consoles that lit up with the words walk or don't walk in all caps letters. I mean, that might be true. I don't actually, now that he makes that point, that might be true, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm probably younger than this guy and I'm pretty old. Well, relatively. So, I mean, he may be right about that, but I don't remember it that way. But I wanted to know more. I wanted to know how and why this gender and race neutral messaging had been replaced by little white men. Why is he assuming it's a man? P.S. Like, why is he assuming it's a man? Why can't that traffic signal be a woman? Like, women wear pants. It's not like women have to wear a skirt. Why is he assuming it's a man? I think that's pretty misogynist, if you ask me. My quest first led me to traffic light manufacturers. Oh my god, he went on a mission. He went on a mission to figure this out. These are people who need a purpose with their life. Like, dude, you clearly, you know how to write. You clearly have, like, some chutzpah if you're talking about traffic signals being racist. But you need to have some purpose, man. You need to direct that energy in a far more productive way than going after traffic signals. My quest first led me to traffic light manufacturers, who then led me to pedestrian safety consultancies, who finally led me to the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, which is where things got interesting, because it turns out the little white man who raised my ire isn't exactly white. He isn't even really a man. Exactly what I said. Why are you gendering him? I don't understand. The humanoid is how the folks at the FHWA initially described him, though they later referred to him as a gender-neutral walking person. I'm gonna go drink an entire bottle of wine after I read this. I'm telling you what, man. An icon that actually dates back to the 1940s. At that time, walk and don't walk typified traffic signage, but began to be phased out because words could be misunderstood by increasingly globalized populations. Oh, so what you're telling me is having English words on a traffic signal is xenophobic? Is that what you're telling me? I think it is. The use of icons instead of words on traffic signs have been a slow but steady evolution for decades because they improve universal comprehension, an FHWA spokesperson said. I'm having such trouble with that acronym, I'm sorry. This is not a recent development. In fact, the walking person's first major move actually took place in 1971. Yeah, I was born in 1981, man, so I'm right about the traffic man. When it became enshrined in the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the FHWA Bible, as an alternative to the words walk and don't walk. For the next 4 decades or so, our little friend slowly, informally replaced its outdated predecessors until 2009. That's when the walking person finally became the FHWA standard. As the spokesperson said, the option to use words is no longer permitted in newly installed traffic signals. It looks like they're fighting xenophobia to me. One day soon, every traffic signal will contain the walking person along with its counterpart, the bright red hand, telling folks to stop. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet someone's going to make a thing about this being against American Indians? I'm just saying. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying someone out there is going to make that point about the red hand. I'm just saying, okay. So the little man is actually a little person. But the little person is still white. Right? Close. It's lunar white, according to the FHWA, a shade of white with yellow and gray accents that mimics the color of the moon. That's actually kind of nice, isn't it? Lunar white wasn't chosen because it sounds cool. According to FHWA research, the agency spokesperson said moonlight offers the peak sensitivity for the rod cells in the human retina. Why are you assuming that all people see the same way, FHWA? I'm totally kidding. I don't actually mean that. In other words, our vision is predisposed to favoring the clarity and intensity of moonlight. That makes total sense, man. We are aligned with nature. We are born into this world for a reason, and I believe that everything is like fine-tuned to play off one another, so that makes total sense to me. But of course, he's still going to find a way to say this is racist. This article isn't over yet. He hasn't given up this quest. In the end, it's not that the walking man is so super duper white. Rather, his true competitive advantage is he's super duper bright. The use of bright colors offers the greatest contrast against a dark background, the FHWA spokesperson said. They do not lend themselves to confusion with other colors and are thought to provide the greatest level of comprehension and safety. But does safety matter? Does comprehension matter when you're racist? And there you have it. The government-approved origins of the little white man, telling us to cross the street at corners across New York. Thanks to the help from the FHWA, I am now convinced that technology and necessity rather than some anti-black conspiracy propelled the shift from verbal crosswalk cues to a lunar walking white person, or what lunar white walking person. Well, thank God. Okay, so this is actually good news. He's convinced that traffic signals are no longer racist. You know what? 2 thumbs up, man. If you end this article with the conclusion that traffic signals are not actually racist, I'm going to give you a slow clap. But not yet. We have to read the rest of the article. We have to make sure before I give him credit. But this is why you can't give people slow claps early. This is why, right here. But my heart sinks at the specter of teaching my sons to ask a white man for permission to do, well, anything, because so much of the world already insists that we do. Okay, this is exactly the problem. This dude was so bothered by traffic signals that he went on a mission, he went on a quest to understand the history and the evolution of traffic signals, and then came to the clear conclusion. He even says, I am now convinced that technology and necessity, rather than some anti-black conspiracy, propelled the shift from verbal crosswalk cues to the lunar white walking person. He even says this is not a racist conspiracy, this was technology and safety. He even says it, and still he's like, but you know, racism. At a time when the totems of the systemic anti-blackness are being dismantled at a surprising pace, there comes a moment when you have to consider the end game, and traffic lights are one of those moments. Because while this highly politicized period does demand a racial rethink, overhauling the Spotlight Industrial Complex. The Spotlight Industrial Complex. Overhauling the stoplight. Sorry, I said spotlight. Stoplight. Overhauling the stoplight industrial complex is probably not the best use of our resources. No kidding. A white man isn't really telling us when to cross the street, even if we hear a friend blithely expressing it in those terms, or even if you express it in those terms, I suppose. Nonetheless, the little white man woke me up to the ways that language imparts power and privilege, even upon the most banal necessities. And so, as I began teaching my voice survival basics like riding a bike, waiting in line, and yes, crossing the street, I'll work hard to avoid phrases like little white man. I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? It's so difficult to avoid the phrase, don't let the little white man tell you what to do when crossing the street. So difficult. I mean, near impossible, really. You know what it's like? It's like those infomercials where people are like, it is impossible to store things in your kitchen shelves, and you open the door and all these things fly, all the Tupperware flies out, and the only way you can solve the problem of the messy kitchen shelves is by like buying their Tupperware. That's exactly what this is like. It's like, it's so hard to teach my kid how to use a traffic signal when I'm crossing the street if I can't say the little white man is telling you what to do. Obviously, bright light person rolls off the tongue far less I don't even know that word, mellifluously? I don't know. But a bit of extra verbal labor, I just had verbal labor with that word, a bit of extra verbal labor is worth the price of not conceding our power to even one more little white man. He tried so hard to make traffic signals racist in this article. He tries. You know what's so bizarre about this? It's 5,200 claps. He tried so hard to make this a traffic signal racist. He tried so hard, but good effort, man. Good effort, David. Good effort. You even though that part in the end where you concluded that it really wasn't racist, but you were going to call it racist anyway, so you could write an article on Medium and have it go viral because of how crazy it is. Whatever. I take my slow clap back. You did not earn my slow clap. All right, folks. That's all I've got. I gotta go drink or something. But listen, if you like this, again, make sure you subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Parler. Parler's a site I'm really trying to build up my audience because I hate Twitter and I want to get the F off. I'm also on Gab. I'm on Minds. I'm on Locals, of course. Locals, you can actually get all of my video content ad-free. Yay! And we do lots of other stuff, and it's so much nicer. Locals is so much nicer than every other platform, but really, like, the information is all in the little box right below this. So I hope to see you on one of the platforms, but not Twitter, because Twitter is fascist.